Title: The Day She Let Go of My Hand. I gave her everything. Not in the way men boast about. No, I mean everything. My name, my time, my sweat, my soul. When I married Evelyn Mercer, I didn't just join her family's empire, I bled myself dry for it. Mercer and Lane had her name on the door, but I was the one pulling 12-hour days, flying red-eye flights to meet impossible deadlines, smoothing over supplier fiascos, and rewriting budgets at 2 a.m., while she slept peacefully in silk sheets I helped pay for. So when Evelyn and her brother Chase called me into that boardroom on a rainy Thursday morning, I thought we were discussing the rollout for the new skincare line I'd built from the ground up. I walked in with charts, projections, and a hopeful heart. But the room was cold. Not just in temperature, it felt hollow, rehearsed. Evelyn didn't meet my eyes. Chase leaned back, smug as ever. "We're letting you go, Noah," she said. Just like that, I stood there, blinking like a fool, the numbers in my hands trembling. "Letting me go?" I repeated, half laughing. "Evelyn, I'm your husband." "You're also no longer a good fit," she said quietly. "A good fit? After 9 years? After rebuilding her father's crumbling legacy from near bankruptcy? After missing funerals, birthdays, and damn near losing myself to keep their name floating above water?" I searched her face, waiting for something. Regret, conflict, even guilt. But she just stared at her lap. Not even a flicker of the woman who once said she couldn't imagine her future without me. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Chase cleared his throat, probably relishing the silence. "Security will walk you out." Security. The man I hired last year would be the one escorting me off the premises like I was a thief. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I gathered my papers with shaking hands, nodded once, and whispered, "Good luck." My voice cracked on the last word. Outside, the rain hit my face like the truth I didn't want to feel. Evelyn had chosen ambition over loyalty, silence over partnership, and Chase over me. In that moment, I understood something brutal. Betrayal doesn't always come with shouting or slamming doors. Sometimes it wears silk and speaks gently while cutting the deepest. Title: He thought I'd just disappear. They thought they'd silenced me. Thought that pushing me out would bury me in the quiet. But silence, when wielded right, isn't surrender. It's strategy. My name is Daniel Cross, and I used to be the silent workhorse behind Holloway Ventures, the tech startup my ex-fiance's brother, Carter Holloway, paraded around like it was all his idea. I was the one who stayed late debugging faulty code, the one who closed the Series B round with investors who wouldn't give Carter the time of day. I built the company from a cluttered garage to a Manhattan high-rise. And still, one afternoon in a glass-paneled office that I helped pay for, Carter stood beside my fiancée Lily and fired me. No warning, no explanation. Just a polite smile from her and a handshake I didn't take. I walked out with my dignity, but what they didn't realize is that I also walked out with the key to everything. A year prior, Carter had asked me to oversee the acquisition of a small cybersecurity firm. It was a quiet move, cheap, strategic. He didn't care about the paperwork. I did. In the process, I negotiated the merger contract and, almost out of instinct, tied the IP ownership, every line of code, every patent, every algorithm, under the umbrella of that firm. And I made myself co-executive. They never read the fine print. Why would they? I was just the quiet guy, the one in the back corner of meetings, the one Lily used to joke needed to speak up more. So I didn't speak. Not then. Instead, I waited and watched. Watched them scramble when investors began asking why new code pushes were delayed. Watched as developers quit, tired of Carter's ego and Lily's fake warmth. Watched as clients began pulling out, citing technical uncertainties. The silence they expected from me became a wall they couldn't climb. Then, one night, Lily texted me. "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time, not out of longing, but because it was the first time she'd acknowledged what she did. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the contract I'd signed 18 months ago, and I smiled, not the forced smile they used in board meetings, but something sharper, real. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need revenge. I had something better, control, and I wasn't giving it back. Title: I didn't burn the bridge. I let them drown under it. I didn't scream. I didn't show up at their door, fists clenched and eyes bloodshot from betrayal. I didn't post a single bitter word online. No. I chose something far more powerful. I chose silence, and it hurt them more than rage ever could. My name is Evan Maddox, I was the architect behind Aurora Digital, a branding agency that went from a two-man team in a basement to a $40 million firm in 5 years. The other man, Dean Whitaker, my best friend, my business partner, my brother in every way but blood. And the woman I loved, Elena, Dean's sister, my fiancée. I trusted them both, too much. I was on a flight to Chicago for a client pitch when it happened. I landed, opened my email, and there it was. Subject, termination of partnership. No call, no warning, just a legal document signed by both of them. Elena's name right next to Dean's. They'd been planning it for months. They said I was too rigid, holding back growth, emotionally unreliable. Funny how those flaws only appeared after I secured our biggest deal yet, one that required my signature to license the brand IP. They thought I'd break, thought I'd beg to stay in the empire I helped build. But I didn't. I flew home that night, packed my things from the shared apartment I once thought would be our forever home. I left the ring in the drawer of her nightstand. No note, no scene. They took everything, except the one thing that mattered most. The licensing clause I negotiated 3 years ago in a dusty boardroom when no one else cared about the paperwork. That clause gave me controlling interest over all client-facing brand licenses. Without me, Aurora couldn't legally move forward with any of its signed deals. And so, I didn't fight. I waited. A week passed, then two. The silence from me was deafening, and inside their high-rise office, chaos grew. Clients called. Contracts froze. Dean's golden boy charm couldn't fix it. Elena emailed me, "Can we talk?" This got out of hand. But I'd moved on. I didn't need revenge. I wanted dignity, and dignity doesn't show up screaming at the front door. It walks away, slow, measured, and lethal. They tried to bury me, but I wasn't the one underground. Title, From Ashes I Drew My Blueprint. The first time I walked back into the building, it was like entering a tomb I used to pray in. Walls I'd painted. Desks I'd assembled with my bare hands. Meeting rooms that had once echoed with laughter, with late-night ideas, with dreams. Gone. The smiles were gone. The rhythm. The energy. They'd gutted the soul of the company, and they thought I wouldn't come back. But I did. Not to relive it, to rebuild it. My name is Caleb Monroe, and I wasn't there for revenge. I came back for resurrection. After Ivy, my ex-wife, and her cousin Darren ousted me from Monroe & Co., the media called it strategic restructuring. But we both knew what it was. A calculated betrayal, wrapped in fake smiles and legal loopholes. What they didn't realize was that their restructure left the foundation fractured. And I was still the only one who knew how to hold it together. I returned not with fury, but with purpose. Quiet, controlled, undeniable. They begged the board to reinstate me, not because they missed me, but because the company was bleeding out. Projects stalled, clients lost, staff resigning in waves. But this time, I didn't walk in through the employee entrance. I took the executive elevator. I wasn't back as a partner. I was back as the architect. The terms were mine now. First thing I did, I cleared out the rot. Anyone who rose by kissing up instead of showing up was gone. Ivy's pet project teams disbanded. Darren's glossy branding squad axed. And then I started planting. I called in people who used to believe in what Monroe & Co. stood for, before the greed, before the politics. I offered them not just jobs, but a mission. I rewrote the org chart from scratch. No more nepotism, no more alliances, just competence, heart, grit. And I watched as the lights turned back on, one by one. Marketing rebuilt, sales rebounded, clients returned with cautious hope, saying if Caleb's back, maybe we can believe again. Ivy still shows up, reduced to a role she once laughed at. She can't look me in the eye during meetings. Darren's long gone, his last email unread, unanswered. I don't gloat, I don't spike the ball, because this isn't a touchdown. It's a rebuild. From ashes, I drew my blueprint. And this time, I'm not building a company to impress anyone. I'm building a legacy that no one can tear down again. Title, The smartest thing I ever did was say nothing. They expected me to break, to show up at the front doors of the company I helped build, shouting, demanding justice, clawing my way back in with fury and noise. But I didn't give them that. I gave them silence. And silence, when sharpened by intelligence, is the most brutal blade of all. My name is Elijah Grant. I was the operations lead at Sylvian Tech, an AI firm that promised to revolutionize the future. I built that future line by line, deal by deal, turning late-night prototypes into billion-dollar contracts. And yet, the day I was cut out, fired by the very people I trusted. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I just nodded, walked out, and closed the door so gently you'd think I was coming back. They thought that meant they'd won. They didn't know that 2 years earlier, when I'd negotiated the joint venture partnership that gave Sylvian Tech access to a powerful software engine, I'd written in a clause, a quiet one, tucked into a paragraph most lawyers skimmed. That clause made me the sole licensing gatekeeper for that engine, the very thing Sylvian Tech couldn't run without. And I didn't remind them. I just disappeared. For days, they gloated. Social media praised their bold restructuring. Internal emails leaked about moving past dead weight. I read every word in silence, with my coffee and my claws. Then the silence began to echo. Clients started asking why updates were late. Investors asked why demo builds were crashing. The system needed my approval, and I gave none. They sent emails first, then calls, then messages through mutual contacts. Let's talk, let's fix this, let's move forward. But I wasn't moving, I was watching. I watched the press turn. I watched the board panic, and I watched the CEO, my old friend Malcolm, go on camera and stutter when asked why development had stopped. I never raised my voice, never threatened, never sued. Instead, I sent one email, short, cold. Per clause 6.2 of the licensing agreement, no operations may proceed without my signature. I have no intention of signing. That was it. No vengeance, just truth. A week later, the board removed Malcolm. 2 weeks after that, they offered me a position back, not under anyone, above everyone. I accepted, but not for the title, not for the money. For the message, you don't have to destroy people to win. You just have to let them destroy themselves, while you hold the pen that writes the final chapter.